Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Candy Valentino Show. Thanks for tuning in with me today. It is hard to believe that we are in the third quarter of the year. Half of the year is gone. I mean, how did that happen? And if you didn't hear Monday's episode or see all of the announcements, or if you haven't subscribed to our email list, you might not have seen that I just released my next book, The 9% Edge. The life-changing secrets of how to create more revenue for your business and more freedom for yourself. And guys, you are incredible. We announced the release on Monday, and within 6 hours, we hit all the #1 new release lists. I have no words. Thank you so much. I got so emotional when I saw that. But today we're diving into a couple topics that I think are highly valuable as we are sitting here in the third quarter of the year. But I want to back up a step. One of the reasons I was so emotional sitting alone in my office on Monday looking at the new release lists on Amazon was twofold, and both of them are about you. First, I worked so dang hard on this book. I didn't want to give you a good book. I really wanted to give you a great book, which is why behind the scenes, I did 18 months of research on 2,000 businesses and 17,000 entrepreneurs. I am a data nerd and I love analysis and all of things stats, but it was even a lot for me. But the thing is this, you don't write books to create wealth. You write books to create impact. Or at least I do. And there's actually not a lot of money in books, relatively speaking. But the second reason that I was emotional is because I realized that every single person who ordered this book and applies its principles are going to have more clarity, more revenue, be able to keep more profit, and be able to reclaim their freedom and get back some of their time so they can do more of what they love. And why is this important? To me, to you? Well, we know from the study that most entrepreneurs start a business for one out of these 4 reasons. They're known as the Entrepreneurial Triggers. I'm going to share them, and you think about which one is you. So in this particular portion of the study, over 600 entrepreneurs participated. I analyzed this plus 4 others that were completed in prior years. And after adding my own research from evaluating and working with and researching entrepreneurs, I included all the data points. And here's what we got. 18% of people say they became an entrepreneur because of an existing negative condition, meaning they don't like their job, or they don't like their boss, or they don't like their coworkers, or maybe their job was just boring, right? 18% of people said that. 12% of people said future potential outcomes, like I had an idea or I saw this problem that I wanted to solve. A smaller percentage, 8%, it was a current circumstantial challenge, meaning somebody passed away or they joined a business or there was a divorce and they inherited the business. But 62% of people that we studied, which were thousands, all fell under this category. It's called the freedom, flexibility, and fulfillment triad. Almost 2/3 of the entrepreneur study fell into this. And basically, it was the fact that they wanted personal freedom, control of their schedule. They desired more fulfillment, more life. They wanted to realize their full potential or achieve a dream. So when I was studying all of this and reading this, I actually thought it was quite interesting that the #1 reason people get into starting a business, they end up not having it at all. They end up building themselves a job or a cage, and they don't have a lot of freedom, flexibility, or fulfillment. And if they've managed to have some of those things, they most likely don't have yet a successful business. Because what separates a successful business from a job or a hobby is the ability to make profit and grow that profit. This is why the finance side of your business is so vital. So I want to unpack just some simple strategies about business finance and how to understand growth and how to achieve profitable growth. Because those 2 things are going to dictate so many business decisions that you make. They are intertwined and codependent. Both are necessary for your company's long-term success. And your business can only continue when you're profitable. That's what separated the 91% of businesses who failed in their first 10 years from the 9% who succeeded, hence the name, the 9% Edge. But when growth and profitability are left to chance, that's when businesses fail because they have lack of intentionality. So it's critical to be proactive in this area in your business. So planning for growth, while essential, not all growth will ensure your profitability. Focus on growing sales while maintaining profit. That's the key to not just short-term success, but long-term sustainability in your business. And this makes me think of story that happened not that long ago. Beginning of this year, I had just stepped off stage doing a keynote, and Jennifer had been with me. Jennifer's my assistant who's been with me for about 4 years. And she had everything ready for us to transfer from back of the house, they call it, from going from backstage to the small room where I was going to be signing books and just meeting some of the VIP audience for the next hour. So we were walking through this hallway from the big conference room to the smaller meet and greet room. And this woman, she's walking straight towards us, waving. She had the prettiest red hair. I remember that, in this purple jacket that just stood out. And I could tell by her lanyard that was around her neck that she was attending the conference where I had just spoken. And she's closing the gap to us. Her arms are stretched out wide to give you the visual. And she's yelling, "I did it!" with this huge smile on her face. And I had no idea what she was talking about, but I knew she was very enthusiastic about doing whatever it was. And I said, "Hi, what did you do?" And as she continues to walk towards us, I could tell, not only was she adorable, but she was so excited. And she said, "I did the numbers thing that you talked about today. I heard it on one of your podcasts and I did it." And I was like, "Numbers thing." I talk a lot about numbers things, right? But for some reason, I just thought of the State of the Union that I talk about a lot. And I said, "Numbers thing, do you mean the State of the Union?" And she's like, "Yes, I've been doing it for 4 months, every month, just like you said. I heard it on your podcast. My husband and I have it's a home service type business, and they were losing money for 7 straight months. And somehow stumbled across this show when she was at a coffee shop in her hometown. And she didn't realize, she didn't know the money part of her business. She didn't understand finance and didn't think that she had the capacity to do that." And I see it so often in entrepreneurs that they think the money thing, that the finance thing is somehow beyond their capability. But you literally just created a business from nothing. If you had a steady job and you left your job to go on your own, that's where the risk is. That's where people fail. Learning this part of it is actually easy. It's just that it's different. It's like I always say, it's like learning another language. She's saying to me that she just thought she was never smart enough to help with the money part, which just broke my heart. And that after they lost so much money, she figured that she just needed to figure it out because he was always out on all the service calls and working, in the business as an operator. And we talked for, another 20 minutes or so. And she just continued to share that they barely were making ends meet, that they really didn't have the ability to support their salaries, and that after paying all the staff and the related expenses, the bank account just didn't have enough money. So they had to dip into their savings, taking, I think it was somewhere between $75,000 and $80,000 out of their savings. And she just knew something was wrong. And that's when, unbeknownst to me, our paths crossed while she was scrolling on social media, waiting to meet a friend at her local coffee shop. And she saw something about the podcast and checked it out and then heard me talking about this. So her husband was away golfing. She went to the office. She started pulling all the reports that I'd mentioned. She'd never even been into QuickBooks before, but figured out how to go into the reporting section and print all of that out as I described. And then she did exactly what I said. She grabbed all that paperwork. She went and grabbed a booth at a little breakfast spot, and she just sat there looking at the reports. She said she felt like she was reading Spanish for the first time in high school. And 1 hour turned into two turned into 4, and she was getting frustrated, but she said, "I remembered on the podcast you said just stick with it." So I did. And after about 4 hours, she finally found out what was wrong. Their number one employee was stealing. And although that's a unique story for her, her story has so many similarities to other entrepreneurs just like her. And in my experience, entrepreneurs, they love to learn about or talk about sales and marketing, or go to networking events and meeting new people and claiming a deduction. But when it comes to really learning the fundamentals of business that can really move the needle and compress time and help you achieve your dreams more quickly, it comes down to numbers and financials and math formulas. And even though it's the one thing that will give you everything, people typically avoid it like the plague, because our numbers talk to us. Beyond the science of business growth and profitability, the root of business finance is, yes, numbers and math. And you will hear professionals use all kind of fancy terms and jargon that doesn't make you more comfortable. It just makes it more complicated. And sometimes I think they might do that because they get paid for their expertise. But the simplest form, right? More money, revenue that comes in, the less money, expenses that go out, the more money you keep, profit. Like, that's about it. That's the short of it. Everything else builds from there. And now you have just mastered the concept of business finance. And I'm not trying to be flippant, but you are smarter and more capable than you think. And I see so many entrepreneurs stress over this. So if you get nothing else from listening to me another day on the podcast or anywhere else, I just want you to get this thing, because so many financial people make it sound so complex. Doesn't have to be a snooze fest. It can actually be quite exciting. And although it's our human nature to ignore things that we don't understand or topics that we don't enjoy, if you've avoided your finances, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just choosing other things that you're comfortable with. But I genuinely want to help you in this area. First, because I know that you can. And second, because I know it's the one thing that will give you everything. And it's going to help you so much in your business. Okay, so right before, we're going to break this down. And I'm going to share a few simple strategies of how you can achieve growth and profitability. So before we jump into these sniper strategies that I call them, I just want you to remember this one business fact, that it is always going to cost you, on average, 5 to 6 times more to acquire a new customer than it is to keep an existing one. So with that in mind, let me just do, I think, 3 more facts before, because I think these are important for everyone to get. There might be 4. Let's just start off with them. Number 1, revenue is not profit. So sales alone will not drive profitable growth. You have to manage costs alongside increasing sales. So evaluating profitability needs to happen beyond just evaluating revenue. The second is line item profits, looking beyond bottom line net profit to really understand your products, your services, your customers, which ones are most profitable. In allocating costs and operating expenses to the products, customers, or services that are profitable, and having the ability to cut ones that are potentially losers. The third is, this is not easy. It is not easy to achieve profitable growth. You can use profit margins to evaluate your pricing and your promotional strategies, but just understand that the profitability of every single thing you do and the value of each customer relationship all comes into play when you're trying to achieve profitable growth. And quite honestly, profitable growth is the only thing that is sustainable. I know a lot of people that had exorbitant amount of sales. They blew through additional revenue benchmarks, but they weren't profitable. And sometimes they're less profitable on the other side. So that brings us to the fourth fact, that you can't solely rely on your financial software. Software is a tool when it comes to finances, but it doesn't tell the full story. In short, what it is accounting basically is making sure that your data is accurate. Your financial reports are a summary of that data. And then the financial analysis is how you look at that data. Your financial ratios, that's just how you measure the data. And then revenue's the money that comes in, expenses is the money that goes out, and the profit is the money that you keep. But setting your business up for profitable growth, well, that's going to require a focus on growing sales while maintaining healthy profit margins. And how do we do that? Here are 7 sniper strategies I can't wait to share with you. Number 1, when it comes to customer acquisition. Now, look, we're talking about acquiring new customers. The only way that you can acquire new customers without bleeding money out of your bottom line is to be a sniper and know exactly where to go get them. And that is by having a customer acquisition strategy. And a customer acquisition strategy really sets apart the 91% of businesses who fail from the 9% who succeed. And you want to stack odds in your favor that are far better than betting on black at the roulette wheel. So having a solid customer acquisition strategy in your pocket is really a central component of your business. And it's going to be identified by 4 parts. I like to keep this super simple, right? Who, where, how, and what. That's it. 4 parts. Who, like this requires a knowledgeable understanding of your customer, your buyer persona, if you will. Like, what does your ideal customer look like? And you can go and do the work of creating like a fictional character like Starbucks and a lot of the big companies do, or you can just take a look at your customer data and see who are your customers, like your actual profitable customers, not just every customer that walks into the door. The second thing is where did those best customers, those profitable customers that don't drain the life out of your team, where do you find them and how do you find more of them? You can leverage data or analytics, whatever your company uses for either business software, CRM, POS, and monitor the performance metrics so that you can understand what marketing channels will reach more of that audience. And then number 3, the how. Like understanding how your business solves the problems and pain points for those specific customers. It is really expensive to cast a wide net and go to every single person in the US or in the world. But when you can really get specific on a customer segment and the customer segment that brings in profitability, where those customers are and how you're solving their problems, then you can go acquire more for a heck of a lot less. And then last is that what, like just having an understanding of your products and services that solves that product for that specific client. This can come from customer surveys or interviews, asking them about their experience, what they like, didn't like. You can test, you can make reiterations or adjustments. But those 4 parts are key to a good customer acquisition strategy. And that is what's going to lay the groundwork in order for you to acquire more customers and grow without bleeding money out of your bottom line. And if you have never done this, even just on this simplistic level, I encourage you to pause this and stop and just think about building your customer acquisition formula. I mean, first you need the who, what, where, and how, and then you need the second part, which is to really assess and craft your unique value proposition, your UVP. And you don't need to go into all of this data. I actually have this all written out in the 9% Edge. We talk about Starbucks and their value proposition because it's just something that everybody understands, as well as other Titan companies and how they've leveraged this to really understand their audience. The book takes you through a step-by-step that we don't have time to go into today, but really defining who your audience is and how you're going to acquire more of them without bleeding a ton of money to do so is going to help you grow more profitably. The second sniper strategy is converting your customers more efficiently. I commonly see entrepreneurs skip this time and time again. They want a PR tour. They want more followers. They want to build a podcast. They think that just getting more eyeballs on their business is going to solve all their problems. But if you're not ready to capitalize on all of those leads and convert the leads to sales, convert browsers to buyers, it can actually create far more problems than you think. Taking time to pause and identifying how you convert your customers more efficiently will also make it more profitable. This could be anything from checking out the conversions on your landing page or your website. This could be understanding your website traffic, your customer profiles, making some changes to your website or wherever your browsers are first hitting you before they come into your ecosystem. You know, over 70% of website traffic now comes from mobile devices. And I know business owners that still don't have a responsive page or a site that takes seconds to load. Google has said that page speed is a massive factor in rankings. And they noted that slower load times will deter users from engaging with your site. They said that 2 seconds is the threshold for acceptability, but they actually aim and will showcase businesses that are under a half a second load. So make sure to take the time to fix any broken links, any typos, ensuring that all of the links on your website are functional and correct. And the way that we do this is I actually set an appointment in my phone. So right before I do the State of the Union, I have a calendar reminder that someone on the team just kind of goes in and peruses broken links, typos, just kind of making sure that something didn't break. I don't know how technology does that, but it just seems that no matter what you set up, there's always the capability for a form not to trigger or something not to happen. So looking at all of these little technical aspects to your business can actually increase your conversion rate and really optimize your profit so that when you do have eyeballs on your business or you have a browser, that you can convert them to a buyer more easily and more efficiently. And if you have a few pages that aren't converting or your customers are falling off once they find out about you, you may want to start looking at A/B testing or experimenting with different headlines or call to action buttons, imagery, conversion. Like, for example, a conversion path would be like a 1-click checkout versus a 3-step checkout. It could be adding a live chat feature, which we know the science and the data shows that converts leads more easily, even if somebody doesn't use them. It could also be adding testimonials to your website to increase conversions. Another thing that we found Intuit did a study on that is just proven to increase conversions. So there's a lot of things that you can take a look into, but if you're always focused on growth, and you're not looking to profitably grow, these things that we know that work, that creates this moment of pause and planning in your business, is often overlooked. And then you're just going out with, a machine gun, an AR, shooting everything in sight as opposed to a sniper. That's why we call these a sniper strategy, which brings us to number 3. I alluded to it just before: testimonials. So I mentioned the Intuit study, but I also know I actually talked to a colleague of mine years ago about this, and he was the former CMO of Chipotle. And I just asked him, okay, if you were starting from scratch, and because this was post second exit, as if you were starting from scratch and you wanted to develop a marketing strategy to increase conversions more quickly, what would you do? And he sat there for a while thinking, and he said, you know what? The only thing I can tell you that actually works is adding more testimonials. I know you have them on your pages, but I don't see enough of them. And so he started to spit out all of these facts and talked about the Intuit study and a different study and how just 3 testimonials will increase your chance of a conversion by 32%. Now talk about profitability, right? All you're doing is putting that on there a few times on these different pages. You said it and you kind of forget it, but now every single person that hits anywhere that you live, right? I'm using air quotes with my fingers, they're able to see these testimonials. Imagine if you can increase your conversions by just 32%, how much that will increase your profit and decrease your customer acquisition cost. So literally, if you don't implement one more thing that you've ever heard of from me, go put testimonials on every single page that's customer facing and watch your numbers change. Nielsen actually reported that 84% of consumers trust opinions from word of mouth sources or a published trusted review from other customers than they do of anything that the business actually shares, right? So when you prominently showcase testimonials on your landing pages, your website, anywhere that you can, your social media platforms, you're boosting reputation and you're increasing trust, and that will always win against a website that just lists products and benefits. And here are 4 quick testimonials that you can use. Obviously, there's text, right? Just simple text testimonials. There's video. This could be sometimes a pain to get, but for a higher ticket type of item, this could be really valuable. Third would be a product review. And this doesn't matter if you have products or services, but adding 1 to 10 reviews on the specific product or service that you're selling will increase conversion rates by 52%. Amazon's a great example of this. They have thousands of reviews and customers look for them. And that just brings us to the last one, case studies. Having a case study is a great way to display your work to customers. You can turn the work that you do or have already done into a case study. And if your company has worked with big brands or big clients, these case studies should be visibly seen on the landing page. So those are the 4 types of testimonials. But look, the data doesn't lie. 89% of customers said that they won't buy anything without checking the reviews first. But get this, when they actually see those reviews and do look at them, it spikes the conversion rate by 120%. That is how you grow more profitably when you're looking to still acquire new customers. And that brings us to number 4. At least I hope it's number 4. I did not write these numbers. You guys don't probably realize I normally just have some bullets and then I riff off the cuff, because if I have too much of a script for anything, then I can't have freedom and flexibility to just share and talk to you like I'm just talking to someone in my living room or out for coffee. So oftentimes I have bullets, and sometimes those bullets aren't numbered. So if I ever say we have 7 things and there's only 6, welcome to the Candy Valentino show. So I think we're on number 4, which is trim the fat on the expenses. Okay. So yes, of course, finding new customers, doing it better, converting more leads, making more sales easily are all important. But one of the most critical things I see overlooked is expense optimization. Look, revenue generation is what we talked about, undoubtedly vital. But when it comes to adding to your bottom line and increasing sales while maintaining profitable growth, we also have to look at managing your expenses. Wisdom and a lot of experience has taught me that a more effective strategy altogether really lies in scrutinizing your expenses and identifying areas that you could trim the fat and make a strategic cut that is going to translate to your bottom line. Doing so immediately impacts your bottom line. Like, in order to generate more revenue, more sales, even if we're trying to maintain profitability in the process, we're going out and getting something new, right? And all of that revenue is top line gross revenue. When you can minimize, reduce, or cut an expense, now that's significantly more impactful because it translates directly to the bottom line. So by trimming the fat of unnecessary expenses, you increase that bottom line and instantly produces more profitability. It also immediately provides more clarity. Sometimes analyzing your expenses just is that closer examination that you need of your business operations, because this can often identify inefficiencies, redundancies, areas or teams that need streamlined or even eliminated altogether. And enhanced operation efficiency not only reduces costs, but it improves the overall business performance in really every area. And it immediately increases stability. In today's quick, fast-paced world, like, financial stability is paramount. And identifying where you can cut or reduce expenses means that you can optimize your build and create a stronger financial foundation. So developing the discipline of expense reduction is invaluable, and it's something that you want to be looking at all the time. This is not just about cutting cost. This is about understanding what capital is going where and making sure that you can reallocate resources where needed. Because when you reallocate funds from non-essential areas in your business and you move them towards more profitable growth initiatives, you can fuel your expansion and still grow while scaling. This is when you start to scale, whether it's your marketing efforts or hiring top talent. When you're able to achieve that growth, but maintain expenses and increase profit. And cost allocations and expense controls, although they might sound like fancy words, they are really the tools in your toolbox that are going to help you lay the groundwork for sustainable business. Okay, so how can you do this? Number 1, reduce non-essential expenses. Like, what expenses are truly essential to running the business and which aren't? Certain ones, yes, they're going to be vital for day to day, but others may not be. And maybe they even were at one time, but they're just not needed now. So this is a great place to start. Print out your expense reports, all of your credit cards, and take a look and see, did those Google Drive expenses jump up? Do you really need all of these subscriptions? Is there a way that you can downgrade your plan and still maintain all of the things that you need to do? It's a great way to start. Another is to renegotiate vendor contracts. By taking a more proactive approach with your vendors and your contracts, you can shop out competitive bids or consolidate and combine suppliers to get a bulk discount. This is another way that you can just look for more favorable terms, and overall, this should increase profit. Third would be to review overhead. Look at those expenses, utilities, office supplies, rents, if you lease, exploring if you could downsize the office or adopt a remote or hybrid situation or renegotiate lease agreements depending on where you are and where your business is. Making sure that your utilities are on the right plan. I know when I first moved to Arizona, I had no idea even about electric plans, because obviously it's the number one thing we use here, and there's all these different plans, and I was spending over $1,000 a month for air conditioning, not knowing that I was on the wrong plan. So there's a lot of stuff like that. Even if it's a few $100 here and there, it can really add up over time. And look, we all know that there is no one-size-fits-all approach for success, but your ability to trim fat and optimize resources is not just something to hope for. It is literally imperative for your survival. And you know what? I'm actually going to wait to give you the other 3. Those were the first 4 sniper strategies, and there is a lot there. And I'm telling you, these next 3 are also a lot. These are the 7 things that actually work. Like if you just do these 7 things, you're going to be more profitable as you grow. But I don't want to give you too much all at once. So I'm going to stop there with those 4 sniper strategies. And then next week on the show, when I do the solos on Thursday, I'm going to pick back up and give you the remaining 3 so that we can really get into how to assess your customers for profitability. That is going to take a lot of time on its own, how to duplicate top customers, how to know what to delegate, eliminate, automate, and duplicate, and also how to leverage Pareto's principle and how to use that in your business so that you can work more efficiently and optimize everything better. So let's go ahead and stop on our 4th today. We'll pick up next week on the remaining 3 sniper strategies. All right, guys, thanks so much for tuning in and spending this time with me today. And if you haven't already, grab a copy of my latest book, The 9% Edge, Life-Changing Secrets to Create More Revenue for Your Business and More Freedom for Yourself. You can pick it up anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, or your local independent store. And once you do, head over to 9percentedge.com and claim $1,500 in pre-order bonuses, including a chance to join me on this very show. Thanks so much for tuning in and spending this time with me today, guys. We'll see you next time.